Hey guys, Sarge Welcome Primitive. Kind of went out running around today, just foraging. I've actually been foraging and eating some stuff, and kind of maybe want to decide to do a little video here to show you a little bit of my property there. That's all the high school backyard. My backyard is all their training grounds, and I got the highway back there, which you usually always hear when I'm out by my house, and I apologize for that. But along that highway there's a river, a little creek, not a river but a creek, and some woods, and this is an old farmhouse. This used to, about maybe 15 years ago, be all farm until the high school bought it. But it's beginning of July right now, last week of June, and so it's summertime, and we're going to go over some edibles. I'm just going to walk around. This isn't really going to be a lesson to me telling you how to eat things and how to prepare things, but I just wanted to go on a walk and show you, if I didn't have the money to pay for groceries right now, which realistically I don't, but I'd be okay, because right now this time of the year, even out here in this rural area, not rural but this suburban area, there's all town back there, there's plenty enough to eat out here. So we're going to get going and go over just walking around, not going far. I'm not even going into the woods. I'm just walking around my house, and we're going to find as many wild edibles as we can. And of course, I might have seen this one in the video I did with my two little nieces. But obviously, we've had this patch of raspberries growing here wild. They weren't planted, but they've been growing here, and we just kind of keep it up neat, try to get the weeds out of it. And it just grows and it replenishes itself, and it's growing bigger and bigger. It's creeping out. So this wild edible, which we've taken care of, is growing even more and becoming more useful as the years go by. Everybody knows, most people know about the plantain. The yard is full of these plantains. Definitely can be used and boiled down or eaten raw. Eaten raw early in the season when they're tender, but later in the season you really kind of want to, cook them up a little bit. In small quantities, these wild strawberries are edible. I've talked about these in the video before. It's definitely another wild edible we have. And you don't see them now, but in the beginning they still had the leaves, so we still had the leaves, the rosette leaves, the dandelion. This area, as you've seen when I did my dandelion video a few weeks back, is full of dandelions, so plenty of dandelions. And we're going to continue walking and see what else we can find. Alright, it's still early in the season to harvest them, really, because they are just starting to grow, but pretty soon our oak tree, we have two oak trees that will be dropping their acorns pretty soon, and that's definitely another wild edible, as we can use the acorns for making various flours and other ingredients. So it's not much of a use right now, but definitely, and like I said, in a couple more weeks there'll be acorns all over the property here, and I will be collecting them up and making plenty from them. Alright, one other edible we have here, right around the old brick pile. We got a thistle here, and I believe, okay, this one here I know, just because of the size, if they're under an inch, it's usually just field thistle. And I am thinking, I'm not sure yet because it hasn't flowered, but I'm not sure if that's bull thistle or not. It looks like looks like it could be bull thistle, but it's a little off on the leaves. I'm going to let that one flower a little bit. I'm not too sure about it. But there are many different species and subspecies of what the species, the line that the thistle comes from. But the thistle is an edible plant. I'm not going to get into particulars too much of that. I have a video coming up here shortly that I'll be doing on thistle. But there's different parts of the thistle that are edible, between the leaves and the stalks, and you also have the first year rosettes and the second year part of the plant. This is obviously a second year plant. If you know anything about most 2-year cycle plants, like the mullein plant, it has the the basil rosettes that grow the first year, then the second year it produces a stalk, while thistle is exactly the same exact way. So, plus it's a multiple use plant in its own, and like I said, we'll be doing a video on that here shortly. But thistle, definitely plenty of that around, and that's a decent vegetable to have around, and you can harvest plenty of it. It reproduces like crazy, so every year I know there's going to be a bunch of thistle growing. One warning I kind of want to give up walking to a little bit of area, maybe about 150 meters away from the house. One warning I do want to give, I do encourage everybody to get out there and learn the wild edibles. It's one of my downfalls, as I mentioned at the beginning of the summer, and it's something I'm working on. That's why I'm out here doing this. I've been out running around, finding everything I could. But, I encourage everybody to get out and actually try different things and find things and, and whatnot. But one thing to remember, especially if you live in a heavy agriculture area, we're in an area that uses a lot of pesticides, especially along highways. A lot of your towns, the maintenance departments of the towns will spray pesticides along roads in public areas to keep the weeds and stuff down. Obviously in agricultural land you have pesticides being used and the runoffs. You also have areas where there's animals or even sewage runoffs. Keep in mind that when you are out foraging, make sure you're picking from an area that's clean, and you're not going to be making yourself sick. The last thing we want to do is go out and be learning stuff, and while we're learning stuff, make ourselves sick. But so keep that in mind. And as we were walking up here to this area, there's a rabbit right here. So even beyond just the plant resources, there's plenty of rabbits in this area, and back by my house there's at least 5 big, gigantic, enormous groundhogs. So plenty of meat sources as well for me to collect if I need it to. And you can see that's the field right behind my house, so I'm not that far. I haven't even walked 5 minutes away. So I'm gonna keep on foraging here. Alright, this is that area I mentioned a couple times in a few other videos behind my house. I got this little plant life habitat they built. Reservoir, if you want to call it, refuge for plant life, if you want to say that. But in it we got plenty of cattail, and cattail is another wonderful edible. Many things edible, from the shoots to the rhizomes. The rhizomes all year long can be eaten, the shoots in the spring. And right now it's July, so a lot of the heads are green, and they are a wonderful edible. Take them, boil them down just like corn on the cob, and eat them. You could also pull them apart and use them as a filler for flour and bannock and whatnot. And not only that, as I showed you with that rabbit and talked about with the groundhog, this is a wonderful microenvironment, so there's plenty of meat, birds and little animals running up and down, and so there's plenty of meat sources. I could probably make it through the summer without even having to ever buy groceries or go to the store or anything like that. Might not be the most tastiest thing, but definitely would be healthy. One thing I got plenty of in this area too is spruce trees. Or not, sorry, I'll take that back. Juniper trees. Alright. Got plenty of juniper trees, and they have these are still not really ripe, but most people think they're a berry, but they're actually a cone. They got a pretty strong taste to them, and you don't want to eat too many at a time, but these are, real big in vitamin A and B and calcium, and can be used as an edible. They're still green. You don't want them when they're green, you want them when they're blue. They got like a white waxy coating on them, which kind of hides the color sometimes, but you got to wipe it off, and you'll see that these are still green. So these are still growing. They get much bigger anyway. I'm just showing you, it's still early in the season for these guys. This is actually the first one I even see with berries on it yet already. But it's definitely a good wild edible, and for vitamins, and there's many medical properties to it too. And I got a video when these come in bloom. I'm going to be doing a video on them. Down there, got some more raspberries trying to come through. I don't know how well they're going to do being choked out, but at least I know I got a big bush of them out by my house. Okay, another right down the little path there. Like I said, it's the barn by my house, and the field, and right down there is another baseball field. And when I was walking down there, there's plenty more. This area is just full. I'm in southeast Pennsylvania, so it's eastern woodland. Plenty of edible stuff. And I know down there for a fact, I was down there the other day, would take you down there, but there's a baseball game going on right now, and I don't want people thinking I'm weird. But down there's black walnut trees and beech nut trees that are growing wild. You know what this was is this used to be farm. It is now school. But what used to be the farm field, there's a natural spring back over here in this area. They left that natural spring that helps feed into this plant wildlife thing, and then the stream runs down. The natural spring runs down along here to past my house, which is over there, then into the creek. And all the woodland that was along that little creek bed in that spring, they let go. They didn't develop on it. They didn't plow it down, which was very nice of them. It's not one for people just cutting stuff down and just to make baseball fields, but I'm not going to get into politics. But there's definitely plenty in this area, and this is a short little walk that we did around my house. And I also got pine trees with pine cones, so I have pine nuts. I got the black walnuts. I got beech nut. I got many different things. The dandelions all throughout the summer, plantains all throughout the summer, raspberries, and then of course we got animals on top of that. And so it's just a quick little tour of my area, and just like I said, I wasn't trying to bore you with talking about each individual plant. I was just taking you along with me as I examined my area and what I have as far as edibles in my area. And so I hope you enjoyed the little walk around. And one more thing to add too is, I know there's plenty more. There's got to be plenty more in this area. But like I said, I'm still learning. I am by no means an expert wild edibles. But I am still out learning and taking my weaknesses and putting it to heart. And there's a little buddy right there. We got to respect the pollinators. If it wasn't for those little guys, we wouldn't have all these plants. He's busy doing his job, her job, sorry. She got a nice couple sacks full of pollen on her. But they're doing their job to help keep these plants growing. I'm sorry, so welcome, thank you.